We spend our years as a tale that is told. Each life is telling a story, and no two stories are the same. Stories of tragedy and triumph, burdens and blessings, pain and praise, heartache and happiness. While the stories aren't the same, the situations often are, and so is the providential God who never changes. It's often during the storms of life that we are driven to seek the promises of God, finding them to be exactly what we need. As we keep these promises on our hearts and minds, we find the courage to continue, strengthening our faith in a faithful God. For nearly 4 decades, Margaret Davis served in ministry alongside her husband, Greg, seeing people saved and lives changed, as many were called to serve in full-time ministry. They spent 16 of those years as missionaries to Canada, planting churches and training men and women in Bible college. Change is a part of life and ministry, but unexpected change came in 2015 when Greg was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and given just weeks to live. Greg would battle cancer for 2.5 years with his wife Margaret faithfully by his side. In 2017, knowing his battle with cancer may be coming to an end, he felt God leading him to find a place for Margaret to serve and thrive after his homegoing. After attending services and meeting with Pastor Tid, he knew that Lighthouse was that place. On September 6, 2018, God called him home to glory. Not only had Margaret lost a husband, but she lost serving in ministry and all she had known for the past 40 years. As a military wife, Sherry has endured change on a regular basis. Over her husband's 29-year career in the Air Force, Sherry would follow him around the country and the world. Just as she and her family would settle into one place, a new deployment or assignment would mean uprooting her family and facing change with yet another move, another home. 10 moves, 8 states, 2 countries, 9 churches. Sherry's husband, Shad, would be separated from his family for a total of 5 years during his service, missing birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. While deployed in Korea for a year, they could only speak on the phone for a total of 45 minutes a month. As both Margaret and Sherry dealt with unexpected change and the unknown, they would cling to the same promise found in Deuteronomy 31:8. And the Lord, He it is that doth go before thee. He will be with thee. He will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed. Kelly was just 2 years old as she sat and watched television with her siblings on a warm summer evening. Her mother was busy scrubbing the kitchen floor as her father was getting cleaned up for the night following a day of work. Larry Stouffer was 24 years old, recently saved, and trying to raise his family in church. A man broke into their house and held her mother at gunpoint. As Larry tried to defuse the situation, 5 gunshots rang out, wounding Kelly's mother and killing her father. Her family's life was shattered by such a senseless tragedy, and their lives would never be the same. God had placed 3 special ladies in Ashley's life to mold her into the woman she is today: her grandmother, her mother, and her sister. In 2012, Ashley and her family moved from Arizona to be near them again in Indiana. Just a week later, her mother would pass away unexpectedly in her sleep at just 51 years old. In 2014, her sister would suffer multiple strokes following a surgery. The very next day, her grandmother would pass away in a house fire. Her sister would fight to recover for over a year before also going home to be with the Lord. Losing all 3 in such a traumatic way would impact her life in unimaginable ways. Even while enduring a traumatic past, Kelly and Ashley could look to the future and hold to this promise found in Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. For the past decade, Jessica has constantly struggled with her health. In 2013, she spent weeks in the hospital following an unsuccessful bowel resection. Hopeless and with no answers, they redid the surgery and God brought her through it. 2 years later, Jessica experienced her first seizure, and throughout 2015, she experienced blackouts and unexpected symptoms, all while trying to care for her family and help run a business with her husband, who was recovering from open heart surgery. After nearly a year of testing, Jessica was diagnosed with epilepsy, and with the diagnosis came the loss of her driving privileges and the ability to watch her precious grandchildren on her own. With countless hospital visits and seizures, her ongoing health struggles continue to be a part of her everyday life. Over the past 11 years, Cherie has been through more than 20 surgeries and a recent diagnosis in 2020 of histoplasmosis, which is a lung infection. The drugs used to fight the infection, along with the infection itself, caused many side effects, including the loss of her hair, difficulty breathing, and the loss of her ability to sing. Last year, a routine surgery was scheduled to remove the infected portion of her lung. During surgery, her spleen was lacerated by accident, and her diaphragm damaged, requiring 3 major surgeries simultaneously. She awoke from surgery on a ventilator, and because of COVID protocols, no family could be with her for the final hours on a vent. She would spend 15 days in the hospital in what would be one of the most difficult times in her life. Despite constant health struggles, both ladies could find comfort in the promise found in 2 Corinthians 12:9. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
Katie and Lakin had just stopped inside the Speedway gas station to get drinks for their kids when they heard gunfire outside.
Everybody starts screaming that there's a shooter, and we all hear gunshots and yelling and shooting outside. We didn't know if it was inside or outside at the time, but we all take cover.
The 2 moms and their children got on the floor as a state police trooper and a suspect exchanged gunfire just outside the door, hitting their empty car they had just been in a few minutes before. Bullets shattered the window, hit the doors and a tire. During the gunfire, Katie's 6-year-old daughter, Harper, wanted to pray.
And she's grabbing my arm and pulling on me as much as she can, trying to get my attention in the midst of everything, and telling me, Mom, if I get shot, I'm going to hell. If I don't get saved right now, if I don't pray, then I'm going to hell, and I need to do it right now, and urging me to pray with her right then and there. So we got down on the floor of the supply room, and she asked Jesus into her heart.
The shooting outside stopped. The gunman was down, their empty car riddled with bullets. But the moms and kids were unharmed and driven home by an Indiana State Police trooper following a scary experience.
I just don't want to not ever give God the glory for how He spared us and how it could have been so bad.
In times of great distress and fear, they found peace in the promise found in Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. As the story of your life is being written, you'll experience some of these same circumstances, if you haven't already. There can be joy and peace, no matter what we face in this life. God's Word has the exact promise you need right now, if you'll find it and keep it.